Hello and welcome to our 30-minute podcast, where we discuss all things noodles. Today, we have a panel of experts with us, all hailing from various Asian cultures and backgrounds, to discuss their preferences for three popular lunch options: udon, ramen, and pho. Let's get to know our participants. First up we have Minh Nguyen, a 25-year-old Vietnamese chef who is a pro at making pho. She's meticulous, passionate and always up for an adventure. Mai, tell us a fun fact about yourself.
Well, I can sniff out the slightest differences in pho broth. It's like a sixth sense.
Impressive. Next, we have 20-year-old Sofia Rodriguez, a Mexican-American college student who loves to explore different cuisines and create her own versions of traditional dishes. Sophia, what's your unique quality?
My love for adding a Mexican twist to traditional Vietnamese dishes. My pho recipe has a secret ingredient that keeps people guessing.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Now, we have Carla Vazquez, a 35-year-old Mexican food critic known for her detailed reviews of udon and ramen restaurants. Carla, tell us something interesting about yourself.
Well, I have a refined palate, and can spot the slightest flaws in a dish. I guess it comes with my job as a food critic.
Last but certainly not least, we have 30-year-old Japanese food blogger, Hiro Tanaka, who has a vast knowledge of udon and ramen. Hiro, what makes your blog stand out?
I like to experiment with unique ramen recipes. My readers love trying out my creations.
And lastly, we have Anna Choi, a 28-year-old food scientist of Korean descent, who loves to research food trends and experiment with flavors. Anna, what's your specialty?
I love to blend Korean and Japanese flavors in my noodle dishes, adding a unique twist to classic recipes.
Now that we know our panel, let's dive into the discussion. Udon, ramen, and pho have become extremely popular lunch options, not just in Asia but also in Western countries. Each of these dishes has its own distinct style and flavor profile. So, let's start with the big question. Which one is your go-to lunch option?
Definitely pho. It's hearty, flavorful, and has all the elements of a perfect meal. Noodles, broth, meat, and veggies. Well, I have to go with ramen. It's all about the layers of flavors and the variations you can find in different regions of Japan. It's a burst of umami in every bite.
I have to disagree. I would pick udon any day. The thick and chewy noodles are just so satisfying to slurp on, and the broth is light yet flavorful.
I can see why each of you would have a different preference. Personally, I love ramen for its versatility. You can have it with a tonkatsu broth or a clear broth, and even add toppings according to your liking.
I agree with Hiro. I find ramen to be the most innovative and creative of the three, and I love experimenting with different flavors and ingredients.
It seems like we have a tie between pho and ramen. So, let's get into specifics. What do you look for in a good bowl of udon, ramen or pho?
As a food critic, I believe that the broth is the most important element. It should be rich, well seasoned, and have a good balance of flavors. Agreed. But for me, the noodles are just as important. They should be cooked to perfection, not too soft or too chewy.
And let's not forget about the meats. The beef slices in pho should be thinly cut and tender, while the pork in ramen should be melt in your mouth delicious.
For me, the broth and the noodles go hand in hand. They should complement each other perfectly and create a harmonious balance of flavors.
I think the toppings are what make each dish unique. In udon, you have a variety of tempura options. In ramen, you have soft-boiled eggs and bamboo shoots, and in pho, you have bean sprouts and herbs.
It's interesting to see how each of you has a different perspective and preference. Now, let's play a little game. If udon, ramen, and pho were people, what kind of personalities would they have?
PH.
Ramen would be the cool, trendy guy who's always experimenting with new styles and trends. He's a bit of a risk-taker and has a unique personality.
And udon would be that quiet, dependable guy who you can always count on. He may not be flashy, but he's always there for you.
I agree, and each dish would also have its own style. Pho would have a simple and elegant style, ramen would be more avant-garde and trendy, and udon would have a classic and timeless style.
Very interesting perspectives. Lastly, before we wrap up, let's talk about the cultural significance of these dishes. What do you think each dish represents in your respective cultures?
Udon represents the simplicity and elegance of Japanese culture. The focus on quality ingredients and subtle flavors reflects the Japanese way of life. For me, pho represents the resilience and resourcefulness of the Vietnamese people. The dish came about during a time of hardship, and it represents the ingenuity of the Vietnamese in making the best of what they have.
I completely agree. And for me, ramen represents the diversity and creativity of Japanese cuisine. It's a dish that has evolved and adapted to different regions and palates, making it a true representation of the melting pot that is Japan.
Well said, Mai. And I think each dish also represents the importance of balance and harmony in Japanese cuisine. The balance of flavors and textures in ramen reflects the Japanese philosophy of finding balance in all aspects of life.
And for me, udon represents the simplicity and warmth of Korean culture. It's a dish that brings people together and is often enjoyed with friends and family, reflecting the communal nature of Korean society.
It's fascinating to see the cultural significance of these dishes. Thank you all for joining us today and sharing your insights and expertise on noodles. Let's end on one final question. What's your favorite noodle dish to make at home? Ramen. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this discussion on the wonderful world of noodles. Until next time, keep slurping. The edges are great, the center grips as if they were soaped. I don't know if that has anything to do with wearing gloves in size 11.5?